findings in the July 13th fire at Gabriel House Assisted Living here in Fall River. Under Massachusetts law, the District Attorney's Office has the legal authority and duty to investigate all unattended deaths in Bristol County. The loss of 10 residents from the fire at Gabriel House was an unprecedented tragedy for the victims, their families, and the community. Like everyone here, we mourn their loss and offer our heartfelt condolences to the families and loved ones who are still grieving and anybody impacted by this terrible tragedy. I would like to thank the first responders for their efforts in assisting the residents of Gabriel House during the fire. Firefighters and police officers risked their own personal safety in rescuing and evacuating residents under very difficult circumstances. I commend them for their actions, and we all owe them a debt of gratitude. For more than a week, Bristol County prosecutors and state police assigned to my office have worked very closely with the agencies represented here. The investigation being conducted by these agencies is very active and will be ongoing for some period of time. We recognize the public interest surrounding this significant event and the needs of families for some information on the origin and cause of this fire. It was clear after a preliminary examination of the scene and initial interviews that the fire did not appear to have been set intentionally. During this past week, investigators have retrieved and recovered more evidence, reviewed video footage, and spoken to more witnesses. The conclusion remains the same, that the fire was accidental. Before we hear from the state fire marshal on the cause of the fire, I would like to ask Fall River Fire Chief Jeffrey Bacon to step forward and say a few words. Chief?
Thank you, DA Quinn. First and foremost, I want to express what I've heard from every member of our department and the Fall River Public Safety community over the past week. The Gabriel House victims, the survivors, and their families have not left our thoughts for a single minute since last Sunday night. I can't imagine the loss they suffered or the pain they feel. What I can say is that every firefighter at the scene that night gave 100% and then gave more to preserve as many lives as they could under catastrophic conditions. This includes dozens of off-duty personnel who raced to the scene to help. We have a philosophy in the fire service: you risk a little to save a little, and you risk a lot to save a lot. And they risked everything in hopes that others might live. So we mourn the lives lost and the decades of family memories that were erased as a fire, smoke, and intense heat tore through Gabriel House. I ask that you say a prayer for these families, and I also ask that you spare a thought for the first responders who are confronting their own trauma. They did a job no one should ever be asked to do, and I know they would do it again. They represented the very highest traditions of the fire service. Finally, I want to recognize the behind-the-scenes work of our Fire Prevention Bureau and fire investigators, Deputy Chief Neil Furtado, Captain Eric Caffrey, Lieutenant Doug Rosenberg, and others have been working around the clock with the Fire Marshal's Office, the DA's office, and state police. Their experience and expertise helped bring us to where we are this afternoon, and I'm deeply grateful for their commitment and professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, I would like to call on State Fire Marshal John Davin to discuss the findings related to the origin and cause of the fire. Marshal?
Keep your head out the window.
Thank you, District Attorney Quinn. Our primary goal at Gabriel House is to determine the origin and cause of the fire, where the fire started, and what started it. I want to recognize the tremendous work of our state police fire investigators who led this investigation. You've all seen some footage and heard some firsthand accounts, but it's difficult to imagine the fire damage at the scene and the chaos reflected in the conflicting witness testimonies. These factors can make or break an investigation. This work would not have been possible without Chief Bacon's steady leadership and the constant collaboration of the Fall River Fire Department. I also want to thank the State Police Bomb Squad, Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Services, and the Drone Unit for their technological contributions to this investigation. The Bristol County State Police Detective Unit was an invaluable resource for us, starting on the night of July 13th and continuing through today. And I especially want to thank District Attorney Quinn and his team. Their assistance and expertise with various legal processes has allowed us to gather important evidence associated with this case. Investigators determined that the Gabriel House fire began in a residence room located on the left side of the second floor of the structure. As the district attorney said, they found no evidence of an intentionally set fire in this room. They found no signs that cooking, lighting, heating, electrical outlets, or other appliances contribute to the ignition of this fire. They found no candles, incense, or related items. They did locate the damaged remains of a battery-powered scooter. We believe that the damage was product of the fire rather than the cause. Investigators also identified an oxygen concentrator and numerous smoking materials in the room. Tragically, the occupant was among those who lost their lives on July 13th, and we could not speak to that resident to get an account of the fire in its earliest stages. As a result, the available evidence left to them was two possible causes. One was an electrical or mechanical failure involving the oxygen concentrator. The other was improper use or disposal of smoking materials. We use a document known as NFPA 921. It's the internationally recognized framework for evidence-based fire investigation. NFPA 921 recommends that investigators consider the cause undetermined when they can't narrow down multiple potential factors to one singular cause. For these reasons, we have at this time classified this fire as undetermined with two possible ignition sources, both of which were clearly accidental. Regardless of the exact cause, there's one additional factor we need to address. Investigators believe the presence of medical oxygen played a significant role in the fire's rapid spread and the ensuing tragedy. Oxygen is a necessary component of any fire, and it was present in the area of origin and other locations at Gabriel House. In an oxygen-rich environment, the fire will ignite more readily and spread more rapidly and burn at higher temperatures. Home oxygen was a known factor in about 20 fire deaths and more than 36 injuries in Massachusetts over the past 10 years, and it was a suspected factor in many more. Most of these incidents involve smoking materials, which are the leading cause of fatal fires here in Massachusetts and across the nation. And tragically, just like at Gabriel House, the victims were mainly older adults at increased risk due to health or mobility issues. Please, there's truly no safe way to smoke, but smoking is especially dangerous when home oxygen is in use. No one should smoke around medical oxygen. Last Sunday night, Chief Bacon said something to me that stuck with me. He called this an unfathomable tragedy, and he's absolutely correct. The loss of life, the centuries of family history and memories that were taken, the fear and the heartache, we cannot begin to measure the depths. Nothing will undo what happened at Gabriel House, but we can do everything in our power to understand it and prevent it from ever happening again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marshal Dabin. Again, these preliminary findings in an ongoing investigation that we believe are important to release to the public at this time. There are other aspects of this ongoing investigation that we're not simply in a position to discuss at this point. We'll field some questions if we're able to respond to them. Yes, sir.
When did the fire start? Exactly. You know that?
Precise time. was early, I think it was early Monday morning, this past Monday, and fire department and emergency personnel responded to the alarm.
You don't have a specific time for that?
If you'd like me to. So the box alarm, the automatic alarm, was the first reporting alarm at our dispatch center, and that came in shortly after 9:30 p.m. I believe it was 9:38 or 9:39.
And sorry, just to follow up, where in the building were people rescued by first responders, and what was the time frame roughly from when the first person was rescued to the last?
That's ongoing part of what we're sorting through. This is a major scene. What you're referring to is what we call in the fire service a post-incident analysis. On a typical 3-decker fire, that takes a couple hours. On this fire, it's going to take a couple weeks to really put together the stories from the 35 responders that were in there and all their actions at that fire. So I ask that you give us some patience so that we can make sure we have the accurate information for you.
Was smoking allowed in the rooms, or was that a violation of any rules?
I wouldn't comment on that at this point. This investigation is ongoing. It involves a lot of many different aspects to it, and we're going to continue to investigate. But I wouldn't comment on that at
Were
that point.
sprinklers working as much as they should have?
Well, the issue of the sprinklers are part of the ongoing investigation. Evidence is being collected and evaluated, and that's all I would comment on that issue at this point.
So is that part of the cause, or do you
What
plan
are the
to?
other things that are part of this ongoing investigation beyond the sprinklers, smoking in the rooms? What are some of the things you're looking into right now?
Well, as Chief Bacon mentioned, there's a number of aspects to this. Again, we want to provide some information, but I think just anything that's relevant to the fire and what transpired. We have 10 people who are deceased. Others were injured. It's a significant endeavor, and again, I want to compliment the investigators for truly working together. I was at the scene yesterday. It's a significant scene to process. A number of people involved, and various aspects of this are being investigated. We just mentioned. You've heard of the cause and origin. That's the first point. To actually say this was not an intentionally set fire. That's a significant issue in the case. And you heard Marshall explain some of the specifics of that, and there are other things we're going to investigate. I'm not going to get into all of that now. The reference to the sprinklers is something that's under investigation, and other relevant issues.
How optimistic are you that you're going to find a cause within the first 2 weeks? How optimistic will you actually be able to determine a cause rather than right now that it's undetermined?
I don't understand. I mean, cause meaning whether
Will you
it's...
be able to zero in on one of those two, or is this the end in terms of cause and origin?
Marshall address that.
So right now, it's undetermined, because as I said, we have, the home oxygen use, the smoking material, and the oxygen concentrator. So we may not be able to define between the two, but we're going to continue to investigate, but I don't have a time frame of when that will happen.
Can you tell us in what room did the causes, undetermined causes that you're
No.
talking about happen?
Second floor, left side of the building.
In addition to the box alarm, do you guys know if anyone called 911 from the scene, Chief?
Yeah, I haven't been able to sort through all those, but there were certainly 911 calls that were received shortly thereafter, if not simultaneous, as the alarm coming in.
Chief, did someone pull the box alarm? Was it a pull, or how does that work?
I don't have that information. That's going to be part of the investigation when they determine through the fire panel in the building.
Were most of the fatalities concentrated on that left side of the building where you said the fire started? Or?
Again, we're still putting that together, so that's something that we'll get to you once we know that accurately.
How quickly did the fire spread to the rest of the building, and what factors accelerated the fire?
We're still looking into that as part of our post-incident analysis. I think that the marshals spoke pretty well about the oxygen in the building being a factor. So that's still part of the investigation.